You know, I am very sure that is the biggest confidence boost for any woman who ends up being attracted to women, or any trans guy they could have had. Like, having like normal compliments boost your confidence a bit and you believe in yourself. No. Being told you'd be a good boyfriend if you were a guy. And then either just being a better boyfriend than a lot of men or being the best boyfriend is up to you, but definite confidence boost. Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. We are doing some queer TikToks again. I probably saved too many again, because I managed to do that a lot. But anyways, we'll see how many we get through. But before we get started, grab something to drink, some water or some tea or whatever else you like to drink, and then we'll look at some more TikToks. Do you have your drink? Okay, let's go.
Nothing gives me the courage to fight for justice like being in a room of happy gay and transgender people. Like, when I get home from one of my little happy gay parties, I'm like, okay, so I do actually have to fight and I can't live in fear. This joy is worth protecting and it means the world to me. It's hard to be present in moments of joy and like even go to parties right now because it feels like unethical or like weird for some reason, a party while the world is in such like a state. But it's the joy that keeps you going. Like, you have to give yourself the treat, the power up to keep going, to keep fighting. You have to remember what you're fighting for. There is nothing that has made me feel happier than my queer community in my whole freaking life. As dramatic and intertwined as the dating situations get, no matter how far apart we all are, every time I meet up with my queers, I am happy again. I am whole again. It is worth fighting for. It is worth being alive for. And nothing will ever replace that in my heart. Like, truthfully, I've never been more grateful to be a part of a community. Gay people, trans people, all my people. Love you guys. Let's keeping going. Let's keeping partying. Let's keeping fighting, because we've always done it. And I just, big heart emoji for you guys.
Exactly, that's the kind of thing. Like, it's easy for kind of like guilt to settle in, to just be like, oh, is it okay if I'm having a good time right now? Like, is it okay to feel this happy right now? But yes, generally, of course, but also it's not just okay, it is incredibly important, because if you don't have any kind of joy in your life, it is hard to even be motivated to fight. Because if you meet up with your people and you kind of like, because fighting for yourself is always harder than fighting for people you care about. So having other people in your life that face similar struggles is gonna motivate you to fight harder. And also, you can't always be fighting. You need some time to rest and recharge, and hanging out with people who give you joy, hanging out with your community, is incredibly important. Honestly, I never really understood people who find older people really sweet, or who find old people like really sweet. But still, seeing older queer people just living authentically, in spite of like us hearing from like other like homophobes that, oh, it didn't used to be a thing, just because they were ignorant to it and because they forced people into hiding, or, doesn't mean they don't exist. So I generally love seeing older queer people, or in this case, I do want to classify it as old. Like, seeing old or older queer people is just really sweet.
And this is day 2 of celebrating queer joy. Queer joy, trans joy. Look how happy we are with being different. I don't know why I talk like that, but it kind of makes sense. And look, I won't bother or burden these people with my weirdness.
For years before I came out and really got comfortable with my own queerness, I would silently judge other gay men for wearing sparkly tops, high heels, makeup. I would judge them for being too loud, too flamboyant, too queer, too joyful, when really I just resented them for expressing the joy that I wouldn't allow myself access to. Their joy threatened me, because I thought, I can't express joy like that because then I'll have to come out. I'll have to live authentically as a gay man. And I couldn't do that because of fear. You can't always express joy if you're afraid, and queerphobes rely on that fear. They want us to be afraid so that we'll be quiet, so that we don't challenge whatever cis heteronormative values they've set up that keep them in power. They don't want us to threaten that. Our joy threatens them, which is why we have to be even more joyful. If your reaction to a fellow queer person expressing joy is disgust or disdain or derision, take a look at your own life and find the areas in your life where you're denying yourself joy, because joy usually begets more joy. And if it doesn't, there's a problem with the receiver there. Fortunately, there is this secret social contract that we've all subconsciously signed that says if we act quiet and subservient and not queer, society will keep us safe and happy. You might be safer that way, but you won't be happier that way. If living a conservative life that aligns more with conservative politics really brought these people more joy, then why do we never hear about it? Why are they never expressing joy? They're always reacting to someone else expressing joy. And they have a problem with that because they're being exposed to the fact that maybe they aren't experiencing joy in the same way because maybe they're afraid. Fear gets in the way of your joy. And so we have to express joy to liberate everyone else around us. That is the purpose of joy. And if you find that obnoxious, take a look at yourself first.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to hate on other people or make fun of other people than to actually reflect on your own life. Because, yeah, giving in to fear is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to just be like, well, okay, yeah, I might be queer, or I might be trans, but I'm just gonna live as quietly as I can, you know, even if I do transition, or even if I do have a partner. It's easier to just, like, agree with the homophobes and like try to act as straight as I can, even if I'm not, so I'll be safer. Of course, that might be easier than to like question yourself and question what would bring you joy and like what would make you happier and what would be more authentic to you. Of course, it's easier to like give into fear and hate on other people, but that's not helping yourself and that's not helping anyone else either, but you don't seem too interested in that.
What's really pissing me off with the queer community is that all of a sudden we have so many fucking rules about what it means to be queer. Y'all are saying a trans girl needs to look like this, a non-binary person needs to look like this. And you know what's really pissing me off, y'all? Is why can't we at the very least, present a united front? We have the straights literally watching us devalue each other, and that's just giving them ammo where ammo isn't due. You know what I mean? Why can't we at least just respect each other on the surface? Who gives a fuck about what you think about someone, but now you have to be so vocally hypocritical about someone? What happened to us? What happened to us?
Exactly. Like, no one's saying you have to be the most flamboyant person in the room, or no one's saying you have to find trans people attractive or whatever, but that doesn't mean you need to shit on your own community, because guess what? You will still be queer at the end of the day, and the homophobes will still hate you. They might focus their hate on someone else for now, someone who's more obviously queer, but that doesn't mean they don't still hate you or think of you as less of a person. So the infighting really makes no sense to me at all.
No one asked me, but I thought this was important to share. Queer joy is how we survive in a world that tries to convince us that our existence is a problem. Queer joy goes beyond happiness and moves into a radical world-making act that forces the world to see us beyond the contrived rules, such as the gender binary that serves no one. Queer joy is how our chosen family can sometimes show up in a way that helps us keep our heads above water in a way that our families of origin don't always do. Queer joy isn't something that we simply just feel. It's something that we fight for in the midst of danger, isolation, and self-discovery, especially when the world tries to convince us that our existence is the problem. Queer joy is more than what I explained in this video, but queer joy is multifaceted and ever-growing, expanding, and evolving in a way that allows the multiplicity of our experiences to be heard and understood. But as usual, no one asked me.
Honestly, queer joy just, of course it is joyful. Of course it's sharing happy moments and laughter with other queer friends maybe. But it's also resilience, because again, it is a way for us to recharge, to feel okay in a world that kind of hates us, you know? And us standing up to that and just being like, you know what, no, I'm not gonna sit here and cry or feel down all the time or be too scared to do anything. I'm gonna fight against that because, yeah, people really hate queer people being joyful and being authentic and loud about who they are, which is kind of more of a reason to do it, really.
This book, you have to believe all of it, not just some of it, right?
That's right.
So, do you like shrimp?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do.
Because in Leviticus, a few scriptures before that, man lying with man is an abomination one, it also says it's an abomination to eat shellfish. And shrimp are shellfish, right?
What's your point, young man?
I believe the point is, if you can eat shrimp, we can eat cock.
Why did this priest, whatever person, pull the shocked Pikachu face to a T? Like, that was just the shocked Pikachu face in person. But literally that. If you want to be religious, if you're a Christian, if you want to follow the Bible, I mean, the thing is pretty damn long and following all of it, sure, is hard, but if you want to follow it, then follow it. But at the same time, just because you follow it and you think it's wrong to sleep with another man, doesn't mean you get to dictate that for everyone else. Not everyone is the same religion as you. Not everyone should be the same religion as you. So if you think sleeping with a man is a sin, fine, then don't. But let other people eat cock in peace. You know? People simultaneously somehow care way too much about what other people do and not enough. They care too much about policing everyone and trying to control what everyone does instead of just letting people live the way that makes sense for them, that makes them happiest. Because honestly, as long as you're not hurting anyone with your actions, who really cares? Or like, who should care? I should probably say, because a lot of people seem to care. Okay, same with seeing like older queer people. Seeing old-timey queer people is also incredibly wholesome. And hearing about like queer people through history is incredibly funny sometimes, but also just wholesome in a way and just heartwarming. Definitely, because yeah, depending on where and when they were, they maybe had to hide, maybe they didn't really have to hide, you know, because history is a lot gayer than people like to believe. But even if they had to hide, they were there. Even if they get classified as best friends by historians later on. You know, but just adorable. Just adorable.
Who's bisexual? Put your hand up if you're a bisexual. How could anybody hate a good bi? What's hate you've had for being bi?
Well, you probably just like men and you're experimenting with girls.
Oh, it's always the experiment!
Mom told me they just wanted to have sex with me to have sex with my boyfriend as well.
That's never the way round it goes. What?
Being greedy, I guess. People always like to say we're greedy, but
are we?
It's just called being loving.
We just have so much love to give.
When people just assume we want a threesome. Just because I like both doesn't mean I want them at the same time.
Literally, I mean, the one that she was the most shocked at is the... Like, yeah, people will assume bisexual people are either faking, doing it for attention, doing it because they're secretly gay and just scared to admit it. But saying that you only want to have sex with someone because you want to have sex with their partner is wild. Like, that's the kind of like mental gymnastics that's that's just weird. Like, not that it's generally weird to like hate on bi people for no good reason, you know, but that mental gymnastics one specifically is kind of hilarious, but also just how did you get there? How did you get to that conclusion?
An exasperated queer actress is sick of playing dying lesbians and tries to rewrite the script of this tired trope. That's the premise behind the short film Bury Your Gays. Grace has had a terrible streak of playing queer characters that always meet an untimely death. One day, while playing another queer woman on her deathbed, she tries to bargain with the writer and director to actually have a happy ending, but to no avail. Frustrated, she tries to go to her trailer, but actually ends up having a meeting in gay purgatory, where a mysterious agent tells her about the long history of queer characters dying in media, also called the Bury Your Gays trope. To paraphrase the agent, the thing that unites LGBT characters is suffering. As the agent educates Grace on the history of this trope, she thrusts Grace into a myriad of familiar storylines about queer characters, challenging her to find a way to finish the stories without a terrible death. But whether a gritty drama or a sweet romantic comedy, Grace has a surprisingly difficult time staying alive as her character keeps on being killed off and she becomes increasingly desperate to actually get a story with a happy ending. Bury Your Gays is a hilarious, incisive indictment against the many tropes that queer characters continue to face across all mediums, and offers a way for queer artists to empower ourselves to find ways to end this cycle and create the joyful queer stories we crave. You can watch Bury Your Gays on YouTube.
Okay, first of all, I am yet to watch it because I was kind of busy all weekend and then the beginning of the week, so I do still have to watch it as of filming this. But it sounds hilarious because I kind of get the feeling that, yeah, she dies a couple of times in this thing, but then just like wakes up back in purgatory and is just annoyed at it and just like tries again and again. It sounds hilarious, but yeah, why? Like, we like queer representation, but having good queer representation that isn't just like built on queer suffering would be a great next step.
One day, I decided that I wanted to be gay. I
feel like this person is articulating something that a lot of people who didn't realize they were queer until later in their life will understand, which is that you have to want to be queer, because very likely coming out as queer is going to change absolutely everything about your life. And even more than that, coming out as queer means giving up your cishet privilege, which being cishet is a very comfortable life. Like, it may have been miserable, but it's undoubtedly comfortable because being cishet comes with a lot of privilege that you may not have even realized you had until you come out as queer. Like, you may not realize it by looking at me, but I only came out about 6 months ago, and an example is on New Year's Eve, I was out with my new partner and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. We were walking home, we were holding hands, and we were walking down kind of a deserted street. And there was like some rowdy drunk men. And they looked at me and said, "I'm going to let go of your hand now." And my feelings were kind of hurt because I was like, oh, we're like holding hands, we're being cute. And it took me a second to realize they were doing that because we read as like a lesbian couple and they didn't want us to get hate crimed. And never in my life have I been in danger holding hands with the person I'm in a relationship with, because I was in a relationship with like a cishet man for the last 10 years. But now I'm in danger when I hold hands with my partner. But that's a choice that I made when I came out, right? But I wanted that. I wanted to live that life because it's so much more authentically me and I'm so much happier. I wanted to live that queer life. I chose that. I didn't choose to be queer. I was always queer. But I chose to live a queer lifestyle. I chose to be my authentic self. I chose to give up the privilege. I chose to give up the comfort because I wanted to be me and I wanted to be happy. And I am happy. I'm so much happier. I'm so glad that I made that choice. So this isn't rhetoric about like whether or not you can choose to be gay, but you have to want it. You have to want it more than you want the comfort. You have to want it more than you want the privilege. And to be honest, I think the grass is greener and I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the points that queer people will understand, but a lot of cisheads will maybe like give you shit about and be like, oh, but you said being queer isn't a choice. Like, of course, being queer isn't a choice. Like, you either are or you aren't, right? But you can choose to hide aspects of yourself, right? You can choose to hide your queerness. You can just like never talk about it. You can be in a straight marriage, you know, whether that's like a real marriage or like a lavender marriage, and just like pretend to be straight and never talk to anyone about being queer. You can do that. you can choose to like lie. But what like happened for me, or like what happens to me, like I'm not even like, I don't get, like I'm not trying to pass as straight or anything, but people will still assume you're straight. Other straight people, because queer people would probably never look at me and assume that, but anyways. And just like assume that I'm like super attracted to women because I'm a guy, right? I'm non-binary, but don't even get me started on that. But still, you can choose to hide aspects of yourself, or you can choose to stop hiding and be authentic.
I love the term queer. Take two. I love the term queer because it is just so all-encompassing. It is in and of itself an undefined, sort of ambiguous term for anything that does not fit the cis heteronormative structure of the rest of the world. And at the same time, it's actually combating the idea of the binary. The gender binary. Yes, I know my apartment is perpetually messy. I'm well aware of that. I'm a busy gal. In videos where I don't explicitly say that I am a trans woman, I've had people in the comments saying like, I don't know which way that you're trans and I don't want you to tell me. And that's kind of validating in a way. Because I am also a non-binary trans woman, labels are labels and I'm queer. And in reference to sexuality, it also leaves things open. Because when I say that I am queer, I do not have to define my gender, I do not have to define my sexuality, people are just people, and I will show interest when I am interested. Of course, everybody has their preferences, but when you say that you are queer, you do not have to disclose that information, and you can just engage with the world how you want to. And queer is also a reclaimed word, which is so powerful. I love that. So yeah, I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't like, like cishet people don't like the word queer because they like being nosy. You know, they like asking invasive questions about other people's sex lives. Or their genitals, for that matter. So, I feel like a lot of people who pretend they're super open to things and who pretend they aren't homophobic at all don't like that word. But I clearly love it too, otherwise I wouldn't have included it in my channel name, actually. Because yes, I could go through the process of giving you the specifics of like defining my gender or my sexuality like more accurately, right? But why would I do that, first of all? And second of all, why would I go through the trouble of explaining myself to other people? Like, it's literally not that important to random people you meet. Like, people I'm close to, sure, but like random people I meet who just want to be like invasive and weird and ask like invasive questions, like, no, you don't need to know.
You jest, but sure thing, here are lesbian movies in which there are either zero men or men exclusively as background. The Duke of Burgundy is an ethereal gothic drama about two women in a long-term relationships who ritualistic games of dominance and submission display surprising power dynamics in their romance. Comets is an intimate Georgian drama about two women who were once childhood friends and lovers reconnecting as they reminisce about the past 30 years. 8 Women is a movie musical murder mystery about a group of women who are all equal suspects in the murder of the patriarch of the household and must find out which one of them is the killer. Women Who Kill is a comedy thriller about two exes who are best friends and host a true crime podcast together, but when one of them starts dating a mysterious woman, the other suspects that this new girlfriend is a serial killer. Mädchen in Uniform, both the 1931 and 1958 versions, are classic films about a new student at a militaristic girls' school who grows a romantic attachment to one of her teachers, sparking a surprising wave of tenderness and compassion within the school. And of course, Portrait of a Lady on Fire is about a painter who is hired to pretend to be the walking companion of a reluctant bride to secretly paint her portrait, both women soon falling in love.
It was a joke made out of yearning and being sick of men, so I'm glad you provided us with the list. You know, so if you do want films with queer women and like little to no men, there you go. My list of films I need to watch is already way too long, but I will happily make it longer, I guess. I'm pretty sure some of these were actually already on my list, but how is there a German movie on here and I don't know about it? I am literally German. That is such a scam. I have to find out from some random person on TikTok who isn't German. Listen, That feels wrong, but that one I will definitely also have to watch just because I am German. Anyways, that was all the queer TikToks I have for today. I actually somehow managed to get through all of them, which is impressive. I thought I had way too many, but anyways, that was all the TikToks. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you got some good movie recommendations and some queer joy. And I hope you're hydrated. If not, maybe go drink something now, and I'll be back in a few days with my next video.